Sometimes you need to fight through the dark and the gloom to get to see some sunshine. Today, that's exactly what it'll take as drivers prepare to battle their way through variable track conditions. Hope you don't mind a little moisture as we get ready for the PCA Sim Racing Series 13 Sport Class, and you'll see it all live here on RaceSpotTV. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Justin Prince. As well as behind the scenes, we have our director, Ramiro Cisneros. We're thrilled to have Princess Cruises as the 2025 PCA title sponsor. As the official cruise vacation partner of Series 13, they provide exclusive offers, including world-leading itineraries across a fleet of 16 elegant ships, sailing to more than 330 global destinations. Reach out to the PCA Concierge team to book your next adventure today by calling 833-679-2188. PCA is also proud to announce that they are celebrating the 70th anniversary in 2025. Here's to many more decades with North America's largest Porsche enthusiast group. Well, as we pause to take a look at the schedule, Justin, we're in the finale finally.
It is the finale after what's been a busy season with a wide variety of tracks, but now it's going to come down to, for these drivers, how are they going to handle racing in a near monsoon tonight? This is going to be a challenging racetrack with Imola, providing plenty of thrills, but also plenty of slick areas that we're expecting these drivers to have to battle, especially with these elements here tonight to end off this busy campaign.
It's set to be raining for pretty much the entire race, except for a break or two in there. Now, as for the clean drivers standings, look at how close it is up at the top. This is for overall, so all four of our classes. Kenneth Eskridge on a single incident point over the course of the season. Will that change here in the rain at the last round? Alan Hales back there by only 3 incident points, and then you've got Julian Velez tied with Dale Green at 5 incident points. Really the main ones that you're seeing in contention for the overall clean driver standings right here at the end. As for the Sport Class Championship standings, what you need to know is that Gilles Estupinan, if he finishes second or first, he clinches the title. However, if Mehmet Karaçay does not finish third or better, no matter what he does, Gilles Estupinan will take the championship. So both of them do need a very good finish here to see a change in the order. Hall and Owens could overtake for second. It's going to take quite a bit. Abu Haka as well is maybe possible, but from there on down, drivers too far away to get up to that P2, and drivers will mostly be paying attention, of course, to the finishing results today, since it could be all thrown for a loop on this one. As for the clean driver standing specifically here in the sport class, Carlos Lopez there on 11 incident points. Looks like he has a massive lead over the rest. That said, it's going to be very easy to rack them up today, so watch out for the drivers on that. Justin, we're here at Imola. Why don't you talk us around the track a little bit?
Well, when it comes to this racetrack, first things first, that front straightaway is going to bring plenty of speed when it comes to carrying momentum and carrying drafting opportunities in normal conditions, I should say, for passing situations. Not likely as easy today. Then you have that run up to turns 2 and 3. Ricardo, you're going to have a lot of hard braking with the potential of issues. You have Villeneuve, that's going to be an airtight area where we see plenty of crashes normally. So it's going to be also where a lot of people may go for some deep, brave sends if they're willing to do so. That run up towards Aquaman Rally, though, is one of the more challenging areas in terms of off tracks or the racetrack, where drivers might have its potential curbing. Same for Rente Alta, where there might be some issues, drivers in 14 and 15 stacking up in these rainy conditions. All that being said, if you get a good run through Riviazza to be able to go along that front straightaway, you're usually set for a decent lap. Now, the rain itself is going to really factor and change things up here at this historic circuit than what you would normally see during the daytime, where there's a lot of opportunity for speed, but also a lot of technical corners.
So we're into the qualifying session at this stage, but the drivers have not set a time yet. Not really as worried about that track temperature this time. As you can see, it is quite cool out there, but it is more about the moisture on the track. Where are the puddles? How wet is it? while it will be wet during the entirety of the race from what the forecast is foretelling, it will lighten at least for a short while from the predictions towards the end of the race. Paul Cavanaugh here on board up into the Alta chicane and trying to spot his brake marker with the sun just peeking through some of the clouds off in the distance.
Yeah, just a little bit right now. In terms of that radar right now, it is, when talking about things more in the yellow zone, there is a strip of clear conditions right now for a little bit. But that's going to be, once again, during the race itself, we're expecting in the later stages, potentially, if not towards the middle of stages. The overcast period would be around in sim time, 9:45. That's still an hour out in sim at the moment for these drivers. But it was absolutely downpouring when we jumped into the sim earlier on in this evening's action. It's at the very least a little bit less raindroppy than it was before.
Yeah, it may have lightened a little bit, but you can see it is definitely still coming down. And part of the reason they're doing this slightly different, if you were watching last week's shows, from what we saw with the Pro and the Club, is essentially these are fixed setups that these cars are in. So you have to run on these rain tires compared to what they had before, where the rain lightened up and it was up to the drivers to decide when it was quicker to go onto those slicks. Here is Estupinan. Still no times up at this point. They get 3 laps to try to set their fastest time during this qualifying session. And then once those 3 laps are up, that's it. And you don't have any more tries. None of the other laps after that will count. So this is down through Puritella and into Aqua Minerale for Estupinan. We saw a lot, especially in the pro race, of drivers go by the wayside through this difficult braking zone here, Justin.
Yeah, this part of the racetrack is going to be extremely challenging, I think, especially in the slick when it comes to braking. Because down here, you have to be able to defend to the inside, make sure you get the cut just right across the curbing. In a lot of cases that we've seen bumping and banging in various different series coming out of that corner that have spun people around or have seen them take slowdowns. That might be one of those spots where you're going to have to almost tiptoe your way through that Alta.
Definitely see some spots where it is puddling around here, so you watch for that shine on the track where the sun kind of glinting off of those portions. Now we're finally going to get some drivers up on the board here, so let's watch to see what times are quick on this first lap through for our drivers. Ooh, I see a few of them have already missed that first lap. Remember, if you go outside the track limits, iRacing will automatically delete that lap, and it doesn't matter if you lost time or not. It is all just instant. Your lap is gone. And so far, Jonathan Kuo is our quickest. Estupinan, second fastest. That's a good thing for him. But Mehmet Karachai sitting in third.
It's getting interesting. Jeremy Hall putting up a solid lap time once more. Still second off the pole time, but Kuo backing up speed we've seen from a couple races this season. Marcel Yunus right now putting himself up towards the board. We're expecting a lot of shuffling. These drivers still record times. You have a lot of drivers like Dean Chapman yet to set time. Alan Owens of note still yet to set a lap time. A lot of these drivers still getting themselves gripped up with the circuit with how rainy it is.
Yeah, they've had all this time for practice, but then trying to get out there in qualifying, you're right up against the edge of the fastest lap, so the fastest that you can go out here. So it's going to be difficult for our drivers as we hop on board. Wow, look at the big huddle on the entrance to the apex there. It's definitely forcing drivers off the usual desired racing line.
Yeah, you're going to have to find where it's drier rather than racing through directly to the puddles. That's a good way on causing chaos for your laps, so to speak, in terms of hydroplaning off the racetrack. That's why a lot of these drivers are just picking where those wet spots, away from those wet spots. While we might see that as an opportunity to cool tires per se later on, you still want to make sure you're in the drier line in terms of how you get grip together, how you run the line, how you run the laps. That's going to be an extreme challenge today for some of the drivers when they go side by side. It's going to be very tricky, to say the very least. We already see that with Dean Chapman taking a very shallow line through the Rubaiyatses compared to what some may do. Had a bit of a bobble even on the corner exit where there's a little bit of some grip built up.
And I tell you what, as we tend to expect under rainy conditions, it has separated the qualifying times by a huge degree. Estupinan improves, and in fact, it's a massive gap now, about 0.9 of a second down to P2. But his championship rival, Karachai, 1.7 seconds slower currently. They're both on their third lap. It is going to be very important that Mehmet get a little bit higher up on the board and get a little closer to the 21 car.
That's not going to help when it comes to units cutting the course right there, but absolutely you're right on those conditions, helping a bit. Some of the air drivers like Abohaka, might see them pounce a lot better this lap. This is looking pretty good so far from him in terms of speed, although that's a lot of cutting the curb that time along the left side of the racetrack to avoid some of the puddles.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much his done there. That last lap, unfortunately, is gone. All they can do is just get some practice in from this stage. While Jake Gerbino sits in 10th, about 2 seconds off the pole time. Second lap got deleted for him. 2:04.7 as his quickest. We hop on board down into the braking of Piratella. He's got enough time to finish this last lap, but yeah, it has slowed up these drivers something fierce. We tend to see laps in the 140-somethings when it's dry. They are over 2 minutes right now.
Yeah, right now these times obviously going to be a bit higher up than what you normally see on a dry lap. These drivers having to tiptoe carefully around the corners. It's to be expected here with the rainy conditions, but Dean Chapman bringing up plenty of rooster tails for his line right now. That's the interesting thing about the rainy situation, I will say, Joe, is this brings a lot of different drivers to the forefront that you normally wouldn't see in the dry. It's a great equalizer where if you're good at driving the wet, usually speaks volumes on how adaptable you are to the conditions. And for a lot of these drivers, they're showcasing that they are very comfortable in the wet and looking much more stronger than we may see them in a dry situation. Dean Chapman, of course, one of those. You have great runs for Kevin Oregon. Marcel Yunus putting in a good standard up. This field very much jumbled up. Charlie Ferrer back in 16th still.
Oof, yeah, that is way far down for him. Estupinan was not able to improve, but neither was Karachai. But that means that Gilles looking like he might have a pole position, while Mehmet going to have to start back from 7th. This will make life extremely difficult for Karachai to try and take the championship away. And Gilles, again, if he finishes 2nd or 1st, then that will clinch the title for him no matter what Mehmet does.
It's going to add a lot of pressure for the championship, to say the very least, here today, especially with the weather. But I think these drivers have finished up the qualifying run just like that. Estupinan putting down the standard already in the session.
Indeed, he is on pole for this one. He'll see Jonathan Kuo starting next to him, but it was a decent-sized gap between the pair of them. Marcel Yunus starts from P3. Kevin Orr will be in 4th. Then it's Dean Chapman starting from 5th. Nathan Abuhaka in the 6th position, then sees Mehmet Karachai on the inside of the next row in 7th. Jeremy Hall starts from 8th, and Alan Owens in 9th. Jake Gerbino rounds out your top 10, while row 6 has Peter Yerxa on the inside and Paul Cavanaugh on the outside. Justin.
Then you have Will Wolf starting 13th from the Connecticut Valley region. Todd Goldberg makes a start at 14th. Casey McDonald 15th. Charlie Ferrer, that's a headline down there, near 4 seconds off the pole in 16th position. Then Anker Bergson in 17th. Chad Casey on back in 18th. Brian Stern back in 19th spot alongside Andrew Elsom, Thomas Durdery, and then it's Jeff Williams. Lee Binkley 23rd. Saxton rounds out the top 24, Joe.
Just a few more cars taking part in this night's race. Jeff Gardner in 25th. Donald Manning in 26th and Randy Lervold 27th. Then it's Carlos Lopez, the last one to actually set a time, in 28th. Chris Costas was not able to put one on the board. Not sure if he's going to be taking part in today's race. Before we get to the racing, though, we have a special event coming up soon. Let's take a look at it real quick.
Work their way through. Oh, there's a big moment there too. GT3 spinning into the westward chute.
That's right. PCA Sim Racing will be hosting an Operation Motorsport benefit event once again. And this year's event will be a 6-hour race on Sunday, May 4th, at, of all places, Spa-Francorchamps, a classic. For more information, go to pcasimracing.com/opmo6hours. Or if you'd like to register, head over to tinyurl.com /opmo2025. That's tinyurl.com/opmo2025. 2025. Operation Motorsport, veteran recovery through motorsport. Love that they've brought that one back, and what it's looking like it's going to be a fantastic race. Well, let's ride on board here, Justin, and see what it takes to be fast in the rain with our current championship leader.
And to do so by almost a full second says a lot. Try to stay tucked up to the right side to build up some momentum, get the cut down the front straightaway. Then that run up to the opening corners, you see him just searching around, trying to make sure that he's able to stay out of the puddles. Has to work through a lot of puddles, actually, that build up alongside the curbing. Caused a bit of a bubble and issues being able to exit the corner. Then they head up to Villeneuve. This section right here is going to be one of the areas where if you carry this wrong, you can kick you out to the sand trap. This time as Dependent lets the nose carry him, takes the quick flick to the right, avoids going into that puddle to the left side of the racetrack. Then that carries him off the toes where he takes it very shallowly, avoids the inside curbing, just tries to find the grip. Then that takes him up to Piratella, where once again, having to run up the middle, you see all the puddles laying the racetrack on the left and the right side of the circuit. Takes it shallow, keeps it cut just below that left side of the track, gets a good corner exit before Aqua Minerale. Had to be careful through the gear shifts and on the throttle in this section. It's so easy for drivers to get it off track in this section. This lap, he avoids all the puddles that have built up in those elevation changes. Then, like we've seen from other drivers, just runs the middle of the racetrack to avoid the wet stuff along the grass. Quick turn to the right through Alta, back to the left. Avoids the rumble strips you would normally take in the dry side to the right side of the racetrack to avoid losing time or getting loose there. As Dependent then would carry the momentum to Rubiazza. Through Rubiazza, more puddle build up to the right side. A lot of build up to the left. That puddle actually caused him to miss the apex, but he's still able to get a decent lap put down by the corner exit. Get the power down for the final straightaway. On this final straightaway, a lot of people cut that paint to the green and on the right side. That helped him carry the momentum to the checkered flag of the qualifying lap.
All right, cars now gridding up, and look at that, actually. I think we're going to be starting this race with that little bit of clear sky that we were talking about approaching. It's just about to the edge of it, so we can see some drops still coming down, but look at all the sunshine starting to encroach upon the track. Remember, this will be brief. It'll start to rain once again in a little bit of time here into the race, and then it's back to the gloom here for the remainder of our hour-long event. They expect one scheduled pit stop for the drivers. One thing to note, Justin, whenever you have rain, that lessens the fuel consumption. That's going to open that window up.
Yeah, it's going to open up a fair bit. The last time we seen a rainy race, They extended it almost to about 15 minutes to go in that respective race. And there's a good chance, since you're not going as fast, that we might see that go very similarly. We've seen the fuel range already extended in the first place in the past couple races with the circuits that we've had on hand. But now it's going to be really interesting to see how much drivers are going to try and save. It might be a very quick splash and dash, depending on how some of these drivers play things out to close out their fuel consumption.
That's a good point. That could help you to just save that little bit and have so quick of a pit stop that you could come out ahead of your rivals, that you're just that much shorter, stationary, waiting for the fuel to wrap up. Here we go, as cars just have to head back down the hill out of Alta and to Ravazza. The other interesting thing that we saw with the pro race, while it was different conditions, there were some drivers that tried to put on fresh wet tires. Now, that gave them some pace, Justin, but it did mean a longer pit stop. So I'm kind of curious if it'll be worth something to these drivers to try and put some fresh wets on.
But that's going to be the time balance, right? Do you want to try and burn up more time with the tires, or do you want to just put in a quick splash of gas? It's going to be a balancing act, right? And I think it's all going to really depend on how well some of these drivers do and how much they're willing to risk it, especially knowing there's probably going to be a lot more rain coming as the drops have now fully stopped.
All right, it's still going to be a wet track, though, at this start, as Estupinan has control of the field. He has everything to lose, while Karachai has everything to gain, as he will try to push through the field to catch up to our points leader. We wait for the call from the flag stand now as they come around that last bend before they can see Barney, and there it is. Green flag is out, and Jill is on the loud pedal. Kuo doesn't get the greatest of starts. Eunice is already up his inside, coming down into turn one. The rest of the field having to look through the spray to try and spot their brake markers. Will we get to this first corner clean, or will we have any incidents with the poor visibility? So far, so good. Side by side, door banging between Eunice and Kuo. Marcel's going to take P2.
That was after the door banging route to start, with Estupinan nearly hydroplane into Kuo. That's going to be the careful thing they'll have to worry about for parts of this racetrack went offline. Kuo's offline in the sand through Villeneuve, losing time and losing spots. Drivers are flying off the track here.
We kind of expected it would be tricky at the start, trying to feel out the grip there. Kuo obviously losing a little bit more than others, but Karachai, he's already up 3 positions, and we're only about halfway through the first lap, so he's making great work out of what he has to do to try and make this a challenge for the win. There is Kuo, who manages to overtake Orr. Orr was going to try and get that spot on him up the hill, but was not successful. Down into Aqua Minerale, and Kuo cutting quite far to the inside of that curb.
Yeah, a lot of people are trying to avoid what is almost a very flooded racetrack on the normal racing line. But at this point, for some of the others, it's about trying to see what they can do before the rain starts really peltering down once again. Karachai, talked about him, +3, biggest mover in the field on the opening lap so far. Nothing you can do except follow the rooster tails and hope the windshield wipers help guide you. Although a lot of drivers may search around a little bit to see if they can find a different line compared to following just the simple tire tracks right now.
And you need to just have that vision to spot what you're looking for, or else you're hoping that you remember exactly by timing and maybe a little bit of vision side to side where you are on the track. Abu Haka under threat from Alan Owens for this 7th place. He's in that pink car just ahead of us as we ride on board with Owens in the 401. Yeah, that really shows you how much the spray affects your vision coming down to the brake zone. I couldn't even tell where the heck we were in the braking.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult with how big the spray is, and if you drive directly into it. That's why I see drivers poking out here, just seeing where can I hit the braking marks? What can I do to switch things up? What can I do to be able to see where I'm going here? Now, keep in mind, passing itself is going to be extremely difficult, as mentioned. I think it might be for a lot of drivers a waiting game to see, can they pressurize a mistake before they try and pounce forward after that initial start.
In dry conditions, it's always hard enough here to try and overtake. You throw the moisture into it, and I'm sure the drivers will have their hands full. Gerbino, unfortunately, just had a little bit too much brake there, it looked like, as the car snapped from underneath him. Thankfully did not hit anybody, as he still had a lot of speed coming through Tamburello, but he'll return to the track. Let's hope that the car isn't too damaged and that he has the pace to at least keep puttering around until he gets to the pit stop. We come back to Estupinan and Eunice. Well then, Justin, he's picked up the pace. He's down to about 2/10 behind Gilles now.
Yeah, not bad so far on the pace. The question is, can Estupinan hold on in front? They're running two different lines. Well, there's a good reason. Eunice coming to do her stop. Estupinan just about cutting all the way in the sand trap, opening up the door for the race lead as Estupinan tries to get that line regrouped.
Marcel not as aggressive, and that lost an opportunity for him coming around. Ravazza, Chapman, Karachai, Kuo have all caught up because of that and are riding on his coattails. Eunice has another shot coming into the braking zone, but look, he is so close behind. Just a face full of water as he tries to hit the brakes, and it looks like he is not going to be quicker than Gilles down into the first turn. Still, he has some speed here, and we've seen some mistakes out of the 21.
Yeah, starting to see them pile up, and that's the one thing I've noticed. It's a little bit more deeper in some of these corners. Try to take some more shallower lines. Yunus just about carrying himself off the racetrack that time. And that's the key thing right now. Some of these other drivers are getting a lot more momentum, arcing out their corners a little bit, like you normally see as on a dry track with it drying out a little bit. The rooster tails aren't as big as before, I will say. Just a little bit smaller right now as it continues to dry out. That radar still showing the rain about 20-30 minutes out.
Okay, so then it's going to just get worse from there for these drivers. Whoa! As we had a big moment. Sorry, I think we saw it, yeah, on the bottom right there. Eunice nearly got into Estupinan coming into the braking of Aqua Minerale. Now, that cost him a lot of time, but thankfully did not hit anybody else. Now look at Dean Chapman just climbing over that gearbox, hoping that he can sneak through and chase after our leader.
Yeah, that got very scary very quickly there. Estupinan quickly just about avoided damage from that slide, and that's the worry. If you end up missing your mark, if you end up hitting a bit of those puddles, Yunus just started sliding to the gear shift, actually hit the leader, but was able to hold on to it through the slide.
I don't think they made contact. I think that was the curb on the inside that he clipped there and kind of popped him into the air. Now Karachai's under threat from Kuo, losing that fourth place. Will Jonathan be able to outbrake him coming down into Tamburello? He's going to try around the outside. They will stay as they were. Both really on the limit here. Neither seems to be able to find that bit more in the braking zone.
Just a little bit right now. Kuo, remember, started on the back foot in the grass. The Almeida Racing Academy driver just looking for a way to gain back that time. And the tough thing is, some sand's actually been kicked up around the racetrack by some of these drivers. Even with the rain, it isn't really dissolving those sand marbles and pellets in parts of this racetrack. Just no place for him to go except ride on and look to see when he can take advantage of a slip up by Karachai.
This is not what Mehmet wants right now. Jonathan looks a fair bit faster here. Mehmet needs to focus forward. He's only 2.3 seconds off of Gilles, so he could catch back up to him, but he can't let him get away at this stage. That was a little bit wide there from Dean Chapman, just ahead of the 78 car. I think Mehmet might have a whiff of things into the Alta chicane, but no, he's going to brake a little early, not willing to risk it.
Yeah, that's the thing. No one's willing to risk anything overly adverse, because if you risk something here, you're going to the back or falling back by 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. If you want to make something work, you need to know confidently you're going to be able to do it. And for a lot of the drivers, the confidence is there with the power down, especially since it's Marble City right now for some of the drivers in that section because the sand picked up before by Estupinian before. Some of the others having issues. Others are spinning as chaos going on for Ordering Company.
Finds an opening, but it looked a little sketchy from that angle at first. Gets it turned around, and he is on his way. Jeff Williams as well, unfortunately, caught up in that one. So that's going to send them to the back of the field. Back to Karachai. Still up 3 from where he started, but that is essentially where he stalled out in this race. The opening lap gave him all 3 of those positions, and he hasn't been able to make any progress since.
A lot of people just stuck together at this point. That's all you can really say in terms of the racing style. But taking a look at Jeff Williams, one of the 2 that was stuck in the grass. Yeah, that's exactly what he's just talking about. You have to be confident you're able to make the move without being overly averse on the risk. And that time, Donery went through the hydroplane section trying to make the pass while the door was already closed in the first place. He's been black flagged for that incident.
They'll have to go and serve that one here shortly. They get a couple laps before they are disqualified if they don't serve that. So unfortunately, this will give him an extra run down pit lane since it's a bit early at this phase. Into the braking once again. Estupinian has been caught back up by not just Eunice, but Chapman, Karachai. The whole train is arriving on that rear bumper once again. And remember, Gilles, all he has to do is see whether or not Mehmet finishes 3rd or above, which he's not doing right now. And if we're realistic about it, Karachai needs to win this race if he's going to take the title, because Gilles only needs 2nd or better to clinch.
Yeah, right now, Spin's doing exactly what I think he needs to do in terms of racing at least. He's just focusing on the event at hand, just trying to score as well as he can. For some of the other battles on screen, though, talking about Jeremy Hall, just watching along, just trying to see where can he go. I think they're almost draft locked with how it's looking like, even with the rainy situation, where even if there's the speed advantage, there just isn't the chance for anyone to close up quite yet. If make any of these moves right now, as Abahaka continues to hold on in his group.
He's lost 2 positions from where he started in this race and is a ways off of Alan Owens, the next one up the road, about 5 seconds between himself and the 401 machine, which is, I guess, yeah, at the back of this train that we were watching up at the top of your screen. And now some of what's going into the math of what both Gilles and Mehmet need to do to take the title here is their drop weeks. And to tell you how consistent that Estupinian has been, his worst finish so far this season is in 8th place. So as long as he finishes better than 8th place, he'll get more points. But if he finishes lower than 8th, no matter what, he gets 230 points.
And consistency wins championships. I know that's a common saying, but it kind of is the case with the series when you only have the 5 or 6 county races. In this case, you can't afford to make mistakes. Alan Owens able to get a good run built up out of Alta. Good pass going into Ravazza to be able to make that move work and be able to pull away by a sizable margin along the way. But that's why Karachai, too, has so much pressure where he needs to go. If he wants a true shot right now, the problem is it's going to be, I think, more so down to the strategy, the way they're driving right now, because Karachai isn't making pass after pass. Everyone's just all locked together in the same group, just carefully tiptoeing their way in the pack.
And we're about to get the rain once again here. It looks like we're just to that next set of clouds getting ready to come overhead, and that will change the grip of the circuit once again. Drivers needing to be adaptable out here. And by the way, I double checked on the point situation. Karachai also has a worst finish of 8th so far this season. The main difference is just Estupinian has a win, Mehmet does not.
I mean, Winning's also very important, absolutely. But that's going to be the major thing. That's all could change here today in terms of that scripting right now in those point standings. You see that math right now as Tepinen doing exactly what wants to do mathematically for those live standings right now. Alan Owens has had a phenomenal stretch from around the midseason onward. If we started the campaign for the midseason, we'd be talking about Alan Owens probably being the championship favorite.
Absolutely. His missed first race really put him behind the 8 ball, and unfortunately, mathematically, is out of it now. And honestly, having a bit of a bad day today, sitting down there in 6. He needs to try and make some passes here soon. He and Kevin Orr having swapped places recently. He's already catching up to Kuo. Nothing doing down into Ravazza this time. So as we check out Paul Cavanaugh, did he have some issues coming into Villeneuve? Gets into the back of his competitor and unfortunately forces another one of our Rexy cars off the circuit. So that sends him falling down and Cavanaugh down into 22nd.
Yeah, a lot of pressure right now, by the way, by Kuo being put it on to Karachai at the moment. Karachai's been having some little wiggles and bobbles, and Kuo has been keeping him very honest, I've noticed, in this line as... Do you see that shade? I think those rain clouds are about to start raining down on these drivers again in the next couple minutes.
You are correct. It's picked up once again and should be coming down any second now. But definitely have lost some visibility. As you can see, it got a whole lot darker once we got back to that cloud cover. But up at the front, Gilles now stretching to about 0.8 of a second over the 004. Chapman still chasing hot behind Marcel Yunus for that P2. And this train up at the front seems a little bit stuck. Now, one thing that we should mention while we've got a moment with this train kind of in stasis is we're thrilled to have Princess Cruises as the 2025 PCA title sponsor. As the official cruise vacation partner of Series 13, they provide exclusive offers, including world-leading itineraries across a fleet of 16 elegant ships, sailing to more than 330 global destinations. Reach out to the PCA concierge team to book your next adventure today by calling 833-679-2188. Yeah, I'm looking through, and surprisingly, there's not been many drivers that have gained a lot of positions despite the weather. I think Chad Casion has the most gained of anybody, up by 7 since the start and sitting in 11th place. We're still watching the battle for first, though, as Tupinen caught back up by Yunus, who's cut it down to 0.2 once again.
Yet again, able to chip it away. It was up to 1.5 seconds at one point. Now this is going to get a little bit concerning if you're as Tupinen. If he's going to have footsteps constantly pressurizing him, I'm not sure how long the 21 may be able to hold on. With every time there's been a big buffer, that gap has just gradually crawled back and away. Dean Chapman chipped away the gap. Karachai chipped away the gap. Kuo chipped away the gap. Everyone's closing on in with the rain starting to spit down. It's only going to get even more difficult for Estepinen as the leader to be able to be that Pied Piper for the racing line.
And as it sits right now, you can see there's a sizable gap between Estepinen and Karachai and the points on the upper right there. So that is live standings if they finish as they are. Gilles could afford to give up one. The question is, Justin, does he dare to? Because, I mean, there's a whole train of cars behind. The last thing he needs is to have one go, and the next thing he knows, 3 or 4 cars are by him.
I don't think you dare giving up the race lead. I don't think you give up the race lead at all, if you can really control it. But that's the thing. It's going to be down to, can you maintain? Right now, Estepin in that run for the past couple quarters here, Yunus was quicker. They're starting to step on each other. In fact, they're checking up so much, trying to keep up in the back of the 21. Dean Chapman checked up hard. Karachai had to check up hard. He made the pass. It was so big of a checkup.
More than anything, he's the only one in this group that has clear air, that has clean vision in front of him. So yeah, he definitely doesn't want to give it up for that fact alone, I'm pretty sure, although he has a bobble coming off the corner. Big slide as well from Eunice, but he manages to take the inside away, at least for the time being. The track will weave back to the right side a little bit. Will that help out Estupinan? It doesn't look like it, as Eunice continues to gain. He's got the momentum. Now he's actually got a nose ahead and under braking. Eunice is going to be our new race leader down into turns 1 and 2. Oh, and behind them, we got an accident with Kuo. He slides around, avoids hitting anybody, but he drops down the order.
I think he missed his braking zone, then slid into the grass to try and avoid contact. Not much he could have done except try and lock it up and avoid a crash, and that's what Kuo did. It cost him dearly to the point where he's now stuck with Abahaka. Nothing Abahaka could let him go as Dean Chapman's in the sand.
Interesting. Yeah, there he is right there now, kind of just crawling his way back onto the circuit. He falls down to 10th position. So a number of our drivers up at the front are suddenly out of the picture, as that was Charlie Ferrer. Ferrer doesn't make the pass, but you mentioned he was out of position at the start. He's up 6, so nice job by the 9 car. So Estupinan in second, Karachai in third now, but look at those live points. It's still a healthy lead for the 21 car. That's what happened to Kuo.
Yeah, sent it too deep and then had to slam on the brakes while in the grass. While with Chapman's case, he was just trying to fall on the line. Just right there. That's happened before with Kuo. Hit a bit of the curbing to the right, kicks him tight. In this case, spins it out, trying to fight the car, and it kicks him off the racing line. So just like that, Karachai is on the podium, and Estupinan is back to second.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. If somehow these two manage to tie, Karachai's the only other one that has, if Karachai wins, I should say, if Karachai wins and Estupinan ties him, then Mehmet has a third place. And so that would mean that they both have a win, and you have to go back to positions farther down, and Karachai would win on the countback. That's how tight it is. Goldberg also finding himself in the kitty litter out of Villeneuve.
And I think we're going to see a lot more people making mistakes now that it's pelting down rain. It's only going to get stronger and stronger. And that's the concern, I think, for some of these drivers is, can they maintain their composure with the tougher conditions compared to, say, if it was a light rain or a drying track like it was before. And this is going to be a big time fight now. Those rooster tears are only going to get bigger. The grip levels, already minimal in the first place, are going to get worse and worse in terms of just trying to figure out where they can go without getting themselves hydroplaning off the circuit.
Now, put yourself in these drivers' shoes, Justin. I hope you have some Wellingtons if you do that. But you've got the opportunity to maybe pit it halfway and take those fresh tires. Like we talked about earlier, that's a longer pit stop. Theoretically, it should give you some more speed in the second half. Do you take that risk, take the clear air, or do you try and stick with going as long as possible?
I think I go with as long as possible and try and shorten the pit stop even then, because I know there's going to be a couple people that might pit earlier just based on a routine or based on comfortability. But I think in my case, I would try and go as long as possible and then try and short pit to close out the race, just to be able to get as best track position possible later on for the race. You see Paul Kavanaugh's viewpoint. It's going to be, I think, one of those types of races where, yeah, you can take tires, but there's only so far that can get you when there's going to be people that are going to try and get quick pit stops 3, 4, 5 seconds quicker than you if they can.
See if they agree with your assessment, because we're only 7 minutes away from that halfway marker. If you are going to take those tires, you don't want to wait too long, because you can't make good use of them towards the end of the race. And might as well just go for that super short pit stop. We ride on board with Karachai. Battle for the title here between these two, the 78 and then the 21 car that is directly in front of us on screen now. But even if Mehmet passes Estupinan, that is not going to be enough to take the title.
Yeah, he's going to need a lot more right now, the way Estepinan's been driving today. He needs Estupinan to make some major mistakes, and the problem is he's been doing all right in terms of limiting the mistakes. So it's
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, can we talk about Yunus, though? He is about 2 seconds up. Oh, I shouldn't have talked about him because he's off the track, and it looks like he's managed to make his way on. So he'll have a slowdown penalty because of that, and he'll have to serve that now. But, yeah, Estupinan was falling away from him, but I think that's about to change.
See that one scoring pylon now down to 4/10, just like that. I was about to say, Estupinan hasn't really made mistakes today, while Yunus has made a couple himself as that race leader. Karachai right now just behind him, though, looking to try and build something up, just searching around, trying to look for some visibility.
He's under threat, definitely has Karachai close behind him. He's looking on either side, and lap traffic not making life any easier. Mike Sachs, oh, he's going to get hit by Alan Owens. Both of them go off course, off screen, and that is going to be just gutting for Alan, who's done such a good job, was having a race looking like he could wind up with a podium today, and it's all slipped through his fingers.
Mike Sachs had a technical issue and had just gotten permission from race control to rejoin the racetrack. That's just terrible timing with the race leaders in an area where you need the middle of the racetrack. He was already on the right side on his pit exit, and everyone else is just forced to run in an area they're not comfortable with, the left side of the racetrack. In the case of Owens, visibility not there in the first place, takes the normal line, then forced to take the inside. And right there, Mike Sachs closes the door, usually a single line corner, and Owens is taken with him into the grass.
So frustrating, especially for Mike, too, who just returns to carry his race on after those connection issues. And unfortunate that it all unfolded that way. Now, Yunus has made back up the time that he lost in that slowdown penalty. It's back up to about 2 seconds now, so that's a great job by him to get back into this one. Certainly looks like the 004 is one of the fastest cars on track, although I say that, let's see, that might actually go to Kevin Orr with a 58.3 right now.
Yeah, not bad, and to say the least, for the case of Orr on the pace. But the field is starting to splinter away, I will say, with how some of these instances are starting to separate things. That traffic, by the way, after Estupinan lost some time with it, has opened up that race lane. Oh, out. Owens is amongst those coming in, by the way, as they continue to sort themselves out. Black flag Owens.
Interesting. So they think he was at fault. Race control considers him at fault for the contact with Mike Sachs there. Just to add insult to injury, he's already trying to serve that. Although I imagine he initially probably came in to try and... Oh, okay. So, yeah, he's heading right back out. So I think he was coming in just to serve that. Now, if we see him back in again, maybe he'll come in and take repairs. Initially, I thought maybe he came in to try and take those repairs, but maybe the timing just all worked out in the end. In the meantime, Jeremy Hall, Dean Chapman, this is for 7th place, just behind Nathan Albuhaka in P6. They head up the hill towards Piratella, with Jeremy holding the advantage.
Chapman, remember, trying to recover from his slide into the sand trap where he did some loop-de-loops. Karachai nearly sent into the back of Estupinan. Had to hold on to it to avoid contact once again amongst the two of them. Some of these drivers getting a little bit brave in these braking sections throughout this day in the rain, and Estupinan yet again stands strong.
Another thing to be concerned about here, if enough drivers have issues with spins or off tracks, Justin, let's not forget they changed the rules this year so that at 25 incidents, it is an automatic disqualification. There's no drive-through warning for any of the incident levels. It's you hit 25, you're out immediately. So we've seen a few comings together. We've seen some drivers off the track. You can't abuse that too much or else your day's over prematurely.
Yeah, you have to be so careful to make sure you don't cut those track limits. And today, of all days, it might make things a little bit less worrying on the incident marker. I say that only because you're being more cautious in the first place, so you're not pushing the limits to normally cut off the racetrack unless you really botch the corner. So for the most part, I think we aren't going to see as much in terms of the incidents, in terms of concerns that way, in terms of incident points, because everyone's already driving below what you normally would just to keep it safe in the first place.
Owen's now in to take his fast repair. There he is on screen now. So he'll get a fresh car, nice and clean, get back out on track. And we'll see if he's in clean air as well, because obviously he was kind of stuck in the middle of the pack a little bit earlier. He could probably use a little bit of space to himself, not have to be stuck in the spray and overtaking cars. This is still, Estupinan running in second, but now about 3.5 seconds behind Yunus and still holding off his championship rival Karachai behind him. I do want to give another shout to Princess Cruises while we have an opportunity, because we're thrilled to have them as the PCA title sponsor. As the official cruise vacation partner of Series 13, they provide exclusive offers, including world-leading itineraries across a fleet of 16 elegant ships, sailing to more than 330 global destinations. Reach out to the PCA concierge team to book your next adventure today by calling 833-679-2188. So now exactly half the race left to go, and still Karachai unable to put himself in the position to take this title. Estupinan on a single win, mind you, his race 1 finish at Daytona, the only time he has been on the top step of the podium, and in fact the only time he has been on the podium this season. Could he manage to get his second podium and clinch a title with it?
That's the big question right now, and that kind of puts a lot more pressure Karachai, because you basically need something to happen with the 21, and he's not cracked in terms of his pressure so far, even with bumper to bumper. Karachai, though, trying something different here. Might be trying to go for the pass, trying to get the squeeze down to the quarter exit. How about getting squished into the ring just about?
Ooh, that was tight. Big trust from Gilles that Mehmet would not come back across on him and turn him. Gave him just enough space and then slotted back in line. But very fast through Tosa. The 78 is now testing the waters, trying some unusual things to get himself an opportunity past that blue number 21. Will he maybe try a pit stop to see if he can undercut him at some stage? Kevin Orr still sits behind. Jonathan Kuo still sits behind. So if Mehmet makes a move and it goes south, he could lose instead of gaining.
Yeah, that's the thing right now. Oh, now he's definitely going to lose, because I think he might have a bit of a slowdown here. Here comes the run for Kevin Orr.
Orr backs out of it, not confident coming down to Rvatsa. It's a tricky braking zone here as it kinks to the right and then plunges downhill. So that won't do it for the 36, at least this time by. That does give a slight bit of breathing room to the 21 of Estupinan, as he finally has about an 0.8 of a second gap. That's the biggest we've seen him have for quite some time.
That got a little bit scary for a split second, I think, there, but get some breathing room to that 21 car that he may have been looking for, at least, to be able to take some deep breaths and just focus on the racetrack here. By the way, no one has made scheduled pit stops yet, so it looks like everyone's going for that same strategy to try to stretch out that mileage as much as they can here, with the fuel being stretched with them turning slower laps.
No one except, we believe, Alan Owens, who has been in and out, but it was a long stop, so I suspect he took tires. And just as we mentioned that, well, Ankerberg Zona is now in pit lane. The 248, the next one to blink at about 27 minutes to go.
A couple drivers at least going with a comfortability window at the halfway mark. And remember, Owens was kind of forced with the black flag to try something different at that point. Bergson also is amongst those towards the back of the field. So if you're deeper in the field, I can say for some, why not try something different? For reference, Bergson only a 12-second pit stop on that stop of the box.
Literally half of what Owens did while stationary. So yeah, that is pretty much a standard fuel-only stop from what we've seen so far in these two races. He's going to try and gut it out from there on those older tires. And did Marcel Yunus have a connection problem? Because he's disappeared on my screen. And Estupinan is now being shown as our leader. Interesting. And there he pops back in. Ooh, that's not going to go over well with race control.
And that's a little bit scary there once again. We'll have to see what happens in that situation there after the pop in and out. But for the most part, Estupinan still having to hold on in front in his respective pack here. All while Kevin Orr still has that purple lap.
He's been so fast today. Just hasn't had anywhere to take it unless he's intentionally sitting and waiting behind. Karachai now much closer to Estupinan once again, about a third of a second between the pair of them. Right on board with Mehmet, seeing what the spray is doing. It doesn't look like the rain is as intense as it was during some of the parts in practice and in the warm-up here, Justin. So I wonder if both the pause in the rain and the lessening, I wonder if it's just not coming down as hard right now and that's helping out?
I think it's a little bit more so less than normal, because earlier today when they had the practice session, it was on the radar a lot of yellow and red, which is heavy rain. Right now it's green to light green, which right now is a bit more lighter conditions. So if anything, it is not as strong as what they had to practice in earlier.
Yeah, that's a good point. So good catch on that with the radar. It is a lighter rain out there as we follow Karachai through Alta. Also worth noting that Chapman closing in on Abu Haka for that sixth place just behind them as well. And something's happened to Jonathan Kuo in the meantime, and unfortunately off the circuit he goes and then returns, but has definitely lost yet more. He's already, I think that's the second off we've seen from him today.
Yeah, a lot of people as expected getting more off tracks built up here, but I'm still keeping an eye on this battle on screen to say the very least, though. Oh, to see if there's any sort of chance of mistake for Estupinan. He's got clean space with the big advantage for Yunus. At this point, that lead's all but gone to have a chance there. But you still have, if anything happens in this grouping, Kuo could pick up some pieces, and the next group, you have Gene Chapman making some moves on Abu Haka, the air pack, as Estupinan just keeps it out of the green stuff.
Yeah, Abu Haka just had an off track. Dean Chapman picked up a position. Thanks to that one there, you see the pink Roxy car of Nathan. Dean Chapman in the green and white just in front of him. Meanwhile, Mehmet with a run coming up the hill towards Piratella. Estupinan covers the inside, but could this cause an over-under? No. Unable to get the launch off the corner is Karachai. He stays in P3 once again.
Yeah, still nothing doing for those pass attempts. As Karachai hits a little bit of the curving to lose some time there. Estupinan's done a great job defending this entire race once again.
Just want to note, I was looking at a few of these drivers' clubs. Estupinian and Karachai, both hailing from California. Not like they never get rain out there, but maybe racing in the rain a little less common. Eunice hails from Club New York, so I wonder if he's maybe just a tad more used to it, especially here in these spring conditions where it can be kind of wet over on his side of the country. And he finds himself now at 8 seconds ahead. My goodness, he continues to climb by leaps and bounds in this second phase. Before, it seemed like he was back and forth yo-yoing, but now it's just a strong push from the 004.
Yeah. A lot of these drivers just hustling around this racetrack, Eunice. I think it's extremely comfortable. He's running 2:01 flats right now. The average pace is a good second quicker than everybody else on the racetrack, by far. It kind of speaks volumes on where his strengths lie, as we were talking about. We haven't really seen Eunice towards the front, per se, consistently throughout this entire season, but today, it's just hit differently for the 004.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, where is he on our championship thing here? And I don't see him anywhere towards the top. So, oh, there he is. Okay, 17th. And his highest finish looks to be somewhere around 5th, it looks like. I'll double check on that, but a 280-point score. I think, no, 4th place. So just off the podium for him. If he can do this, this will be a massive gain. Not only his first podium, but his first win of the season.
Amazing, but look at this. Karachai took another poke. Yet again, Estupinian has that preferred line to be able to hold on. They do have to deal with some lap traffic here. Next little bit, as you see them battling it out wheel to wheel. Karachai, I think, wants to go, but there's no place to go.
Mehmet essentially needs to win this race right now, and he is about 7.5 seconds off the lead currently. So this is not going his way. Big slide of the tires there coming off of Ravazza 1 from Estupinian. And again, he's slow off of Ravazza 2. Lapped car going to try and stay out of the way as they go down the very not straight front straight. And almost side by side, Karachai has to lift a little bit. Just not quite brave enough to keep his foot down in it all. And they also come upon lap traffic yet again under braking. And that will deny the 78.
Pit stops are underway, by the way, with Abhaka in. But you have to wonder if Karachai maybe tries an undercut to see if he can find a way in front, because it's almost looking, in some cases, getting held up a little bit. But that is the risk, because then he gives the hand for Estupinian to take less fuel and be able to equalize, if not surpass him that way. So there's so much having to go through the mind of Karachai right now to be able to try and set this up just right.
Abhaka has now pitted. 12-second stop, so no tires for him. He's back out in 15th with decently clear areas. Almost going to catch up to Yurtza, though. You might be able to see a flash of him there in the background of the shots as we watch him exit from his outlap. Now, other drivers that have pitted, Bergzona down in 23rd, Binkley down in 25th. So Nathan, easily the highest driver to have pitted at this stage. 18 minutes left to go, Justin. I get the sense we're going to see a flurry of pit stops here in a moment.
I think we're about to see a flood of pit stops, absolutely. I'm not saying that rain pun-wise. So we're going to see how well these drivers approach this pit lane on the strategy right now. I think I'm hearing some calls over the radio. Eunice has just ducked in. Will anybody else follow suit this time by to follow what the race leader did? The answer is not yet.
And typically the leader likes to go as long as possible. As Marcel is coming in now, that to me says that many drivers should be towards the end of their pit stop, their pit window. But Estupinian and Karachai carry on or carries on. This is unusually early for our overall leader.
Yeah. Not like bad, but again, I think Eunice, as long as he doesn't make major mistakes, cycles in front. Eunice taking an extra bit of time, though, in the pit lane. That's going to get interesting. 17 seconds he just spent in the pit stall. He had some mistakes coming into the box.
I wondered about that. I was going back to see if he took tires or not. And yeah, you're right. He had to back it up just slightly. Now, he made himself a gap. Is that going to be enough that he'll still be ahead of Estupinan after the stops are done at, what was it, about 7 seconds? So if he lost more than 7, Gilles has a good chance. But that, I feel like that's asking a bit much out of simply backing up a few feet.
Yeah, curious there when it comes to Younes. Is he going to lose a bunch of time here in general net? I think it's going to be all down to what we see from the 21 and the 78 on their pit stops here as some more drivers go in and out.
Younes emerges in a gap in 9th place. He's got a huge bit of air in front of him to Chad Casey in 8th place, so that worked out well. He can run clean from here before everybody else does need a pit stop, but we are left wondering who is going to be the next to blink, and is it at the end? And it was just maybe a lap or two early for the 004. We'll get our answer soon, because here comes Estupinan down through both Ravatsas. If he pits this time, then it was just a slightly early stop for Younes. And yes, it is a pit stop for Estupinan, but not for Karachai, who keeps going.
Well, that's going to be big there. Karachai able to save maybe a bit in the draft. Estupinan going to have a nervous time on how he times this up in terms of the fuel margin. Karachai, we've seen it a couple times, has been really good at saving the fuel.
10-second stop. Is that possible for Estupinan? It's up to it now. No, he's going long, so he's not going to be able to jump him. In fact, it's about 13 and a half. It's slightly long, not atrociously so, but it's enough that Gilles emerges well behind Marcel, who is back on it and running fast. So Chad Casey on and taking his service Abu Haka, I think, going to be able to overtake that 397. Yes, indeed, he does. As we switch back to our drivers on track, Mehmet Karachai, our current leader there. Oh, as somebody leaves the circuit there at Piratella.
Yeah, not going to impede Karachai, though. Expecting him to come down pretty soon. By the way, for reference, Estupinan, even with the 14-second pit stop, did not gain enough time to jump in front of Younes. Younes is still the net leader. So that's going to take that worry at least out of the 004's camp as we take a look at the 21.
Yeah, I think we knew that he was not going to jump him. It was quicker, but it just wasn't significantly quicker. As long as Marcel had a decent outlap, then he should have been safe on that one. Let's see what happens with the 78 from California. He comes around the first apex there on the bottom of your screen. Then the second apex, a little bit off that racing line through there, probably trying to avoid the slicker rubber. He is in. This will be critical. Can he jump Estupinan? He needs to aim for less than 13 and a half seconds in his stall.
It's going to be tricky, I think, right now. He did go further. That's going to help his case a bit there. There's that stop in the box. Looks like he's going to be, again, just taking the splash. Estupinan taking a slip and slide through the splashing right now. It is 11, 12, 13, 14.1. This is going to be close on the exit.
Let's watch and see. There's Gilles in the upper part of your screen. He's at speed. I think he's going to catch him. I think he's going to be past. It's going to be tight, and he is through. So Karachai will come out almost exactly as he was before the pit stop. It didn't work out, and he overshoots as well. That's going to cost him some time. Thankfully, doesn't hit anything, but he'll have to give some of that time back.
Yeah, that's going to completely hurt his chances at this spot for the next while, to say the very least. Absolutely disastrous pit exit sequence. It's been like that whenever anybody's gone side by side to the opening corners all day long. And now it's going to be the apart. Estepinen looking to see if he can run away as Karachai bleeds time.
And Marcel Yunus, only with a bit of drama with his internet connection at one point, disappearing for a few brief moments. Now looks like he's sitting pretty. Kuo and Ferrer still need to take a pit stop. And here's what happened to Mehmet. Maybe just red mist down. Justin was trying eagerly to stay with him after that pit stop.
Think so. Also might have been where some of the puddles were building up on the right side of the racetrack. Seen a couple people slide in that section. And now it's going to take a lot of good laps for him to even have another shot to take that position. But that slide like that going through Alta is not going to help him in the corner exit entries.
Now, knocking on wood, but I just realized we've only had 2 penalties this entire race. So very, very clean and a great job by all the drivers to try and bring this one home without too many problems with race control. Now, Kuo has pitted in and Ferrer has now pitted in. That means we should return to how we were before with 11 minutes left, as Yunus should re-inherit the lead.
But that was to be expected with his good pit stop, even with the longer time in the box. Yunus has just been so good once he was unleashed to get around Estepinen for the race lead. It's been a bit surprising again with his performance consistently throughout the season. But today, Yunus has lived up to the occasion of this racetrack.
Pit stops are over. That gives us a nice opening to mention Princess Cruises, because they're the 2025 PCA title sponsor. And as the official cruise vacation partner of Series 13, they provide exclusive offers, including world-leading itineraries across a fleet of 16 elegant ships. They're all sailing to more than 330 global destinations, so reach out to the PCA concierge team to book your next adventure today by calling 833-679-2188. A little bit of love, too, while we watch our third-place runner here. Charlie Ferrer still emerged 7 positions up from where he started in 9th, and Chad Casey on 8 positions up from where he started in 10th. And then Brian Stern, haven't really talked about him this race, but he needs some credit. He is up 7 in 12th position, and then Carlos Lopez as well, up 8 positions, down in 20th. So definitely some big movers in the mid-pack.
Yeah, I think for Ferrer, it isn't as surprising because we know how fast Ferrer is as a driver. His qualifying was shocking. We've seen a couple shocking performances like that this season in that regard. He just needed to be able to calm down and get the good rhythm down. And for Ferrer, that rhythm definitely down. For Kevin Orr, again, another solid race has touched upon him. Going to be a happy day, I think, for him with how he drove this car today in the 36.
No doubt. He's just outside the podium. And I don't think, Kevin has not been on the podium yet. This might be his best finish of the season, though, here, this 4th place, if he can bring it home where it sits now. But he's got Dean Chapman close behind, trying to keep him from getting that one. Still would be in the top 5, of course, but you can never tell which drivers really care about those stats. Different lines between the pair of them coming through the Tamburello chicane.
No issues for Chapman on his recovery forward. He's done a great job recovering for that slide to the grass and the sand, though, to be able to get back where about he was running before. As Jeremy Hall falls down the pylon all of a sudden. Never mind, he had a technical blip. But was about to say, with Chapman, he's been very composed since that mistake before. Hasn't made the same issue in terms of the corner through Villeneuve. He's been really good since the second half of the race started.
Also, I want to note that Yunus, though he did lose some time in the pit stops, is still keeping a nice distance between himself and Estepinen at this stage. Battle for 9th place. Charlie Ferrer likes that 7 positions gained. He wants to keep it that way, but Chad Casey is very much close to the back of him in that 379. Trying to make it 9 positions gained, give himself the hard charger title for this race. Let's see whether or not the green and teal machine of Ferrer can hold back the orange and white of Casey.
right now, going to be curious at the moment. I think Ferrer just got a lot of help, though, with some of the traffic. That's going to really open things up. Casey on just about stepping on top of the lap car, and that's going to be a lot of breathing room for the next 4 or 5 minutes.
Lee Binkley, unfortunately, had little he could do to try to get out of the way there. It was just an awkward position, but he let them by, not trying to interrupt them. That's another thing they have new rules on this season. If you're joining us for the first time and are familiar with the PCA, they actually have obligatory blue flags now. Essentially, if you get within 1.0 seconds of the car that is being given the black flag, that car has to give way within 3 corners. So very similar to F1 rules, the way it's working right now. Nice little action shot coming through that chicane, showing you how on the limit these cars are in the wet.
Yeah, right now, you see even with the little twitches right now, it's going to be a careful balance in the steering and the throttle and being able to control your race car. And look at that. Looks like we're starting to see a bit of sunshine poke out as some holes in the bubble and the mapping start to pop up. A lot more lighter rain in the forecast from this point forward for the rest of this race. It's now, in fact, showing overcast rather than anything else.
Yeah, it's looking like the drivers will. It does say precipitation at 100% chance, so I think it will keep raining until the race is over, from what the forecast is telling us. But Karachai still running in that 3rd place. I want to give a tip of the hat to the 78, even if he doesn't take home the title. Starting from 7th on the grid, pushing his way onto the podium. I mean, I love it when drivers have a never say die attitude.
I love that too when it comes to racing your way to a championship all the way in and out in terms of just being able to compete. You don't want someone that just gives up in the final race. You don't want someone that just says, oh, I don't think I'm going to have a shot. I'm just going to run in 15th and just get it over with. No. In terms of championship, you want people that race to be there to race every race. And we've seen a lot of these competitors be able to do that throughout this championship with the turnout we've seen here for this finale.
And we were talking about the importance of consistency in winning a title. And yes, Gilles has been very consistent, but Mehmet, you know, I was looking through and kind of figuring out the patterns here. He finished between 3rd and 8th every single race. Didn't have a DNF for his drops or anything like that. He just brought it home each and every time. So yeah, I think Mehmet should be proud of what he's put together.
Very proud with what he's been able to put together. I think he's going to be able to build this to be able to build momentum for the future seasons. What he's been able to do. Oh, no!
That's Estupinian off course. That's, I think, at Piratella. He's going to get it going. It's down to 6th. What has this done for the championship? This is going to put Karachai ahead of him. This means that Karachai is in a championship winning position. He's in P2. Estupinian has now just a small handful of laps to try to make some overtakes. I don't think this is going to be possible. He's got, gosh, about 8 seconds up to where he needs to be, which is, I think, about 3rd position from here.
Oh my goodness, is all you can really say. He just had the championship thrown away. First major mistake all day, sends it too hard into the corner with the rooster tails, loops it off the racing line. Oh my goodness, what a way to lose a championship.
And it was his to lose. He was sitting pretty all race long, but a simple mistake in this rain shows that you cannot count anything until it is over. Dean Chapman still back there threatening for a podium spot with Kevin Orr as well. Coming across the line, Eunice, I think, is about 2 laps to go now at this stage.
I don't know what to say other than Karachai has now had things fall perfectly. He raced to be able to be consistent all season, and guess what? It just landed perfectly in his lap.
And on top of things, if he finishes this P2 and Estupiñán finishes where he is, that means Mehmet will have won the title without a single win this season. And again, consistency wins championships, my friend.
Extremely, to say the very least. Absolutely stunning is all you can really say at this point in this regard. It's going to be interesting what happens now to close out. But Estupiñán's already made up one spot. I don't know where he's going to find another unless he is able to pick up a lot of time. He needs 5 seconds and a lot. Oh, the leader spun it.
Yunus goes around, Karachai catching up, but I don't think he's close enough there. Yunus has been running such great pace that Karachai was not there to try and do it. So that's not going to mean another position for Estupiñán. And you're right, Estupiñán needs one more position. If he does, and Karachai finishes P2, Gilles will be your champion. But as it sits right now, Karachai will be your champion. But up in front of both of them, Yunus is now getting the white flag as we watch the replay on what put him a few seconds farther down and closer to P2. Just a bit too much curb, it looks like.
Yeah, that absolute trim down the gap here. Final time around for Yunus. Don't make any mistakes like that again. If you want to win this race is all you can say. But this has been a wild final couple minutes for this championship season.
And a testament to the focus that is needed all the way to the end of this thing. Because that's in the final 5 minutes, effectively. We've seen two podium drivers make big mistakes there. Yunus maybe slightly less so, and be able to get away with it thanks to the gap that he has pulled. Karachai is at 4th position. Yes, that's Dean Chapman. Oh, this is the other problem as he goes a little bit wide. If Dean Chapman gets by, then Karachai also will lose the title. He has to hold on to this P2. Now he gets a good exit and he starts to pull away from Dean Chapman. So he gets himself clear, but oh, this is not over, Justin.
Karachai can't afford any mistakes absolutely right now. And we've seen him have some issues here and there. Now it's going to be the question, can he stay composed for another few more corners? Secure the championship as Chapman nearly hydroplaned up the track.
Yunus just has a couple corners to go. Lead still by about 2 seconds as we watch him weave through the Alta chicane. Karachai 1.5 seconds behind. Chapman about 1 second behind him. Orr is also there. Top four are separated by less than 4 seconds right now. It has gotten close down here at the end. Just 2 corners to go for Yunus. He is trying to push this as hard as he can go. The car sliding through the first apex. He gets out of the second one. He will survive this, but more than survive, he will win as Marcel Yunus takes victory here in the final round of Series 13. And Karachai currently looks like he might be champion as he finishes P2. Where is Estupiñán going to be as he comes to the line? It looks like Estupiñán will take 5th. Unofficially, Mehmet Karachai has stolen this championship.
An absolutely stunning way to close things out. Estupiñán needed to just make sure he made no mistakes. And guess what? He made the biggest mistakes of his season at the worst possible time.
Unbelievable. He is going to be just beside himself, Will Estupiñán, knowing that that one spin cost him a title right there. He would have had it with ease if he had just brought it home. But in the meantime, let's look at our results. As Marcel Yunus is your winner, Mehmet Karachai P2, and unofficially your champion. Dean Chapman P3, an excellent podium for him. Kevin Orr with 4th place today, tying his best finish of the season. Gilles Estupiñán, late race mistake, costly, down to 5th after starting this one on the pole. Then it was Jonathan Kuo who finished 6th, Albuhaca P7, Charlie Ferrer in 8th, and Gerbino 9th. Chad Casion rounding out your top 10.
Ryan Stern finished off at 11th tonight, then Casey McDonald, Jeremy Hall back in 13th. Wolf Yurtsa in 15th. Alan Owens, after looking promising early, in 16th. Todd Goldberg back in 17th with Todd Cavanaugh in 18th. Bergson and Lopez, your top 20.
21st is going to go to Manning, Jeff Gardner in 22nd, and Jeff Williams in 23rd. Lee Binkley will be P24. These are cars that are now a lap down. Mike Sackstein in 25th, and Randy Lervold, last one a lap down in 26th. From there, it's drivers who had some big problems with Andrew Elsom coming home in 27th, and Thomas Doherty in 28th. In fact, those two were our only DNFs in this race. So Estupinan, with that one mistake right there, is going to hand it away and not be our champion unofficially. Now, we haven't done the points. It looks like we might have our champion in waiting, ready to talk to us. Let's see if we can have a conversation with Mehmet Karachai here, who comes home with a P2, his best finish of the season. Mehmet, by our math, this has not been confirmed yet. You are the champion with this second place finish. How does it feel?
Well, are we sure about that? It's been an awesome season. Well, thank you so much to you, the broadcasters, my family, my wife and kids, and of course the PCA for putting this together. That was an awesome season. I had a lot of fun racing with all these guys. You know, they were pretty fast, and yeah, it's been an awesome season. Whether I'm the first or second or the third doesn't matter. It will be a pleasure racing with these guys.
I mean, we were saying before the spin there from Estupinan, no matter what, you deserve some praise, because finishing literally between second and eighth position every single race is massively impressive. But but let's talk about the start of this race. Qualified seventh. Was there any panicking going on when you saw that? Did you feel pressure knowing you had to move up a bunch of spots?
Yeah, it was for sure. I didn't think that I was going to get to the front of the pack, because it's it's raining and it's very difficult to pass, and I know these guys. Gil is very fast. We were on Monday. We were at the Prelude, and he was driving so fast. Yeah, I didn't think that I was going to get to the front of the pack. I wasn't going to be on the podium. But yeah, it's tough conditions. So I'm glad to be here.
I can only imagine. And one last question: how closely were you watching those points during the race? Did you have anybody doing the math for you?
No, I did not. I just knew that Gil was ahead of me, and yeah, it's unfortunate. I just saw him spin. I don't know, I have no idea how that happened. But he was doing an awesome race. He had the pace, and yeah, it's unfortunate for him, but it is what it is.
That's a good way to put it. Again, congratulations on another podium and potentially a championship here.
Yep, we'll see. Thank you, guys.
Mehmet Karachai, P2 today. He came home behind our winner, Marcel Yunus. I do believe that Justin has caught up with him.
Yes, indeed. Marcel Yunus having his best performance of the season here today. Marcel, first of all, how are you feeling about the win here today?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, I just switched headphones. Feeling great. It was pretty nerve-wracking. It was very hard to be concentrated for so long. It was very intense, but it was an awesome race. Yeah, I still can't believe I got first.
When it comes to a racetrack like this tonight and the weather conditions, what clicked for you, in your opinion, for you have by far your best and most consistent race all season here tonight?
Yeah, I think one of the tips that I got that really helped was watching the actual replay and going inside in some of the cars of the pro class race and seeing some of the lines that they were taking. Yeah, so it was amazing to see those guys drive, and it really seemed to help inform some lines and some options that I could take in this track.
Overall, how would you describe the season as a whole here in this one?
Yeah, the season was super fun. I just want to give a big shout out to all the organizers and everybody that makes PCA sim racing possible. The community is amazing. And yeah, I mean, for me personally, I didn't do very well in a lot of the other races. It seemed like it was hit or miss. But this was definitely one of the tracks I was able to put the most time in practice, and so that always pays off, clearly.
Well, Marcel, once again, congratulations on the victory here tonight. Any shout out you'd like to give?
No, just a shout out again to all the PCA guys that organize this and make this happen. A shout out to you guys as well for making these races super fun to watch. I always watch them again after we race. And yeah, just thanks everyone, and it's been awesome. And looking forward to the next season.
Congratulations on the victory here tonight, Marcel.
Thanks so much.
Marcel Yuna is coming away with the win here this evening. As mentioned, Dean Chapman getting a top 3 run here tonight as well. Dean Chapman also waiting. He is with Joe.
Indeed, and Dean, it's been spotty attendance this season. Only 3 races, including this one. Yet a 2 out of 3 strike rate for podiums. That can't feel too bad.
No, you're right. Yeah, the first race, actually, I was in 4th for half the race until back marker hit me. So I think maybe it would have been 3 for 3. But yeah, had some family stuff. Lost both my parents, had to go back to England. And yeah, none of the dates could work, traveling backwards and forwards. But it was a blast, a real blast.
Now, and again, this is not official, but we believe that Mehmet Karaçay is our champion with that 2nd place. We were eagerly watching you get close to him on that last lap. Did you feel like you had a shot to pass him, and were you aware of the implications of what it would mean if you did it?
Yeah, I was trying. I mean, another lap I might have lunged, but I didn't know that Mehmet had the championship in his pocket, so he might have been a little bit more nervous with me hanging around his back tail. But no, good driving for all the guys, Marcel and Mehmet. Well done.
And lastly, what was it like out there? Every time we hopped on board, it looked like visibility was a nightmare in traffic.
Oh yeah, it was insane. You had to take different lines in order to avoid the rain shower that was hitting the screen. I was just hoping that there was a second speed for the windshield wiper, but unfortunately no.
That's great. Maybe we'll have to get on iRacing to try and add that as a feature. Well, congratulations, Dean. Like I said, another 3rd place there. Anybody you want to shout out to before we let you go?
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, thanks to the PCA, the ICs, who do a fantastic job of organizing every week. It's they put in a lot of time and effort. Obviously, Doug, and I want to thank Max for listening and watching me back in England, and Bryce for such good training so far. Thank you.
Dean Chapman coming on P3 in that 610 car here today. And with that, we're going to wrap things up, but we're not done with the racing this season because we are coming back tomorrow night, Thursday, April 10th, for the Challenge class, the last of the races here at Imola of the 4 classes we cover. So make sure and tune in for that one. But a big thank you also goes to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing, as well as to our team tonight, Ramiro and Justin. And thank you for tuning in for tonight's broadcast. In the meantime, I'm Joe Peak, and until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.